welcome to Found on TikTok. I'm your host, Jamal Radio Raheem. Now, Found on TikTok is a music podcast where I find topics from TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, wherever it is, I find topics and I discuss it with you guys. Now, it's going to look a little weird because I'm recording on my computer. Um, my phone needs to be charged and I just wanted to record, to be honest. I wanted to talk. My phone has also been messing up, so you're getting it on the computer. So if it looks the way it looks, hey man, you should just be listening to me anyways. Now this episode we're going to talk about No Name, the whole situation with her album and everything that came with that. We're going to talk about hip hop being 50, in particular, Soulja Boy being snubbed, and the guy who had a lot to say about Jay-Z not showing up to the event. But without further ado, we just gonna get into it, shawty. So, No Name dropped her album. And with her dropping the album, there came a lot of controversy. With her dropping an album, this is an album that's been longly anticipated. And No Name is a very vocal person on critiquing certain things, such as capitalism, like Jay-Z. She's been very vocal on her critique of Jay-Z and Beyonce, very vocal of her critique of J. Cole, Kendrick, very vocal on her critique of Obama, colorism, just a whole bunch of stuff that are impacting the Black community. And I'm not going to say she's wrong on some of the stuff. In this album, she used it to talk about all of these things. Like she talked about Obama bumming African countries, which is not discussed enough. You feel me? She talked about colorism, which is very, very, very prevalent in the Black community and other communities all across the globe. She talked about capitalism with Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kendrick. She even talked about herself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad she did, because I did feel a way when she was talking all that stuff about not giving in to capitalism and not going to these events, and then she literally went and performed at Coachella. Like she talked about it though, and I respect that. And I respect honestly all the stuff that she's talking about, because she's somebody who's doing the work. She has a whole book club. She's like putting on stuff for the community. She's doing a lot of stuff. My issue is the J Electronica stuff and her doubling, tripling, like down on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know, No Name got into it with actually one of my mutuals on TikTok, Noah. He basically tweeted out how he felt about her including J Electronica on the album. He is a Jewish man. J Electronica is very anti-Semitic, has been for a while. Man called himself basically the Black Adolf Hitler. Like, I think he called himself Adolf Spliffler or something like that. Like, very, very anti-Semitic. And No Name, instead of like saying like she feels what people are feeling and understands them, she literally went on and was all like, "Oh, y'all don't want the single? Y'all don't want this?" Like she basically, she basically like she. I don't want to say white woman the situation up, but she did. She white woman the situation up. Like she like made trying to make everybody like seem like they didn't want the album and stuff like that, as if she wasn't like she's above critique, because they are critiquing her having an anti-Semitic person on the album, because all of the stuff she stands for, it's kind of weird to have Jay Electronica on the album. And not only that, she just didn't just have that statement. She had multiple statements of her saying stuff about the situation. Like she has been very vocal on having this man on the album. And to be honest, the verse ain't worth her having him on the album. His verse is okay. It's a solid verse, but it's a Jay Electronica verse. You know what you're gonna get. He gonna mention the Nation of Islam. He gonna talk about religion. He gonna try to give you some big words. He gonna say all this type of stuff, but it ain't really like anything special. It ain't his best verse. You know what I'm saying? Like, No Name even released a statement. Like, I'm gonna put the statement here. You guys can read it. But the statement is basically her saying like, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm just against white supremacy. But like, and then she's also saying, I'm not apologizing for his verse, and I'm not gonna apologize for including it on the album. Like, if you feel some type of way, don't listen. Unfollow me, which is not the right response. You know what I'm saying? And I respect her so much, but that is not the right response. That is not the right response to people like rightfully so calling you out on this. The right thing can be like, you can keep the verse on the album, admit that you're open for conversation, but to go like unfollow me, don't support me, don't do that. You don't have to do that. There's plenty of dope artists. You're avoiding any anything from the situation. You're avoiding accountability. Couldn't think of the goddamn word. You're avoiding accountability from the situation by you saying such a statement. Like, you didn't write the verse. That's true. You included the man on the album where you're openly calling out stuff, rightfully so, calling out capitalism, calling out Beyonce and Jay-Z, calling out Kendrick, calling out Obama, calling out colorism, calling out all of these things that plague the black community, rightfully so. But then you included a man who has literally talked about being the black Adolf Hitler. And when Noah released his tweet, she went at him saying like, how dare you compare him to Adolf Hitler, who has wiped out a whole bunch of black people. And it's not like Noah's the one who compared himself to Adolf Hitler. Jay Electronica did. Okay, so I don't know why she did that. Like, she should have known, having Jay Electronica on the album, what it was gonna bring. Like, she should have known that, and rightfully so, being called out. You should not. Your response should not be to like double down and to like dismiss people. I thought the album was solid. I'm gonna listen to the album a couple more times. I like to give albums a little bit of a breather. You know, it takes me like a month before I do like album reviews usually. This is a hard album to listen to. This isn't like a joyful album. She's talking about heavy topics, so this is not an album that I'm just gonna keep playing over and over. But I listened to it twice already. Probably gonna listen to it another time before I get my actual opinions on the album. But she is calling out stuff. Some stuff I agree. Some stuff I've been calling out since I was a college student. For 10, 15 years, I've been calling these things out. So I agree with some of the stuff she's saying. I just think she takes away for everything that she's doing by having Jay Electronica on the album, because people can always go to that now. If she's talking about black people need freedom and all type of stuff, which I agree, they're just going to point out Jay Electronica. She gave them ammo that they didn't need to have the ammo. I could see if Jay Electronica gave us like an Exhibit C type verse, and you're like, I gotta have it on my album, you know what I'm saying? And we can talk about it. But he didn't. He gave us a regular Jay Electronica verse. Nothing special. Which makes it even worse for me. I love what No Name is doing. I think she's a great artist. I love that she's doing a lot of stuff for the community. I want her to keep doing that. But her including Jay Electronica on the album, and also, she has been noticeably quiet when it comes to somebody like Kanye West. She calls out Jay-Z. Kanye West is just as big as the capitalism as Jay-Z. She doesn't call him out. He does not get that critique. And Kanye West has said some crazy things about black people. Kanye West has been open with his like basically dislike for certain type of black people. Kanye West has been as anti-black as it can get, and she hasn't said much on him. So I do find the hypocrisy in that. I love what she's doing. And now we're going to take a break. I'm going to talk about hip hop being 50. I'm gonna talk about the snub, and also somebody's comments they had to say about Jay-Z not attending any of the Hip Hop is 50 events. So Soldier Boy put out a tweet that basically talked about him being snubbed from hip hop. And that is a tweet and a statement that I 100% agree with. Um, Soldier Boy not being talked about in the history of hip hop is just ridiculous. He's one of the most important people to come out ever. He's the first internet rapper. Say what you want to say. He influenced so many people. You can say whatever you want to say about Soldier Boy. You're not liking his music. You not, and that's cool. But hip hop is a celebration of everybody. You know what I'm saying? You cannot tell the history of hip hop without Soldier Boy. You can't. I'm sorry. I don't care how you really feel about him. You just can't tell the history of hip hop without Soldier, without Big Draco, because he is so important when it came to the internet. He like revolution. He changed it. You know what I'm saying? He changed the game. You know, he's the first internet star. Remember going on YouTube, watching all the crank that type of videos, you know what I'm saying? Watching like the RoboCop videos and all that type of stuff. He influenced the game, whether people want to give him his credit or not. And I feel like the celebration of hip hop, they snubbed a lot of people, but you can't tell the history of hip hop without Soldier Boy. You just can't. You can't tell the history of hip hop without certain aspects of hip hop that people don't like either. You can't tell hip hop without snap music. You can't. You can't tell it without the jerk era. Like you can't tell the story of hip hop without these things. Like hip hop is more than just certain things that people seem to enjoy, and it's usually I call them snobs because they just enjoy like the Wu-Tang era, the 90s hip hop era, and it's stuff like there's more than hip hop than 90s hip hop. And when people are talking about hip hop being 50, that era is getting talked about more than anything, rightfully so. But other aspects of hip hop need to be discussed. You cannot omit Soldier Boy. You can't. And another thing that happened that I was gonna avoid talking about it, but like it's been bothering me. And I'm just gonna put a clip. The guy's talking for a minute, so I'm not gonna put the whole thing. But here's a clip of him talking about Jay-Z not being at Hip Hop It's 50, any of the events.
My biggest critique of Sean, Jay-Z, Jigga Man, Hove, or as I affectionately like to call him, capitalistic Hove, was how could you not be present, especially at Yankee Stadium? You the brother that made the Yankee hat more famous than the Yankees. Wasn't that a bar of yours? Black culture helped propel you from this faux Scarface individual.
So he had a lot to say, and I personally think that while I would have loved for Jay-Z to attend the Hip Hop is 50 events, because I personally have Jay-Z as the greatest rapper of all time. Um, I think that not talk like you're talking about Jay-Z so much, you're overlooking all the people who attended these events. You're overlooking all the people who have done great things for hip hop. You're overlooking all of that stuff. And if I'm keeping it honest, if Jay-Z's at that event, it's a Jay-Z event. It's not a hip hop it's 50 event. Everybody's gonna be talking about Jay-Z. They're gonna be talking about what Jay-Z did, what Jay-Z's wearing, what he's talking about, like his performance. They're gonna talk about all that type of stuff. They're not going to give hip hop being 50 like the attention and love that it gets. Because when Jay-Z's in the room, people are talking about Jay-Z. That's it. Like whether you want to believe it or not, but that's what they doing. And him going to that event would have probably changed the attention from all the other legends who were being honored and stuff like that. But also, people have families, people have all these things. And I feel like as a fan base, as a fan myself of hip hop, of music, we can be a little bit greedy and selfish. Like these people have lives. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z's wife is on tour. He's been out all these shows. Like his kid is literally on tour. He literally has other kids. Like We don't need Jay-Z to attend the Hip Hop is 50 events for us to celebrate hip hop being 50. Like, you could say like, oh, Nas is the people's champ and stuff like that. Nas literally just put out albums. He put out like 5 albums, I would say, in like the last couple of years. Of course he's gonna be outside. Of course he's gonna be at these events. He got albums that just came out. That's how you promote. That's how you do it. But like, there's so many people who in hip hop that aren't at these events. Nobody seems to care about it, but y'all really care about that Jay-Z's not there. And again, I would have loved for him to attend. I would have loved for him to attend. But you need to focus on who is there. Like, you're so focused on Jay-Z not being there, you're not giving the right love to the legends who are there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. You're taking away from the people who are there. You don't have the same fire for all the people who aren't there, just Jay-Z. And I found that to be very, very weird. But that's just my opinion. This has been Found on TikTok. I've been your host, Jamal Radio Raheem. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that type of stuff that YouTubers tell you to do. And I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.